return registry.
Hello.
Hi.
We are This Podcast Is Not For You.
That's who we are as people.
And this is where we find our identity and our meaning in our lives. And I think that all of our listeners are
Almost
also
touching, but
feeling
not
that.
quite.
And so
Stop.
thank you so much for listening to This Podcast Is Not For You. Thank you so much for validating our existence as people, as
Yeah.
podcast hosts, as writers, as editors, as video editors, as color correctors,
Amen.
as hosts.
Amen.
And so
I'm not doing any
it-
color correcting, let's be real. What?
It means a lot that you
Amen.
guys support the podcast. My
Amen.
name is Jake.
My name is Wes.
Amen.
And today we have a guest, Amen. He is
Amen.
to my right. We're going to be talking about The Office Season 6 on Season 2 of This Podcast Is Not For You.
Ah.
Didn't think it was
Yeah.
possible.
It's been a while. It's been a while. The Office Season 6 episode will be a continuation of our The Office series. We've talked about Seasons 1 through 5. If you are somehow just finding out about us and that sounds interesting to you, you can go find those old episodes. I guess
Or even more shockingly, just now finding out about The Office.
that would be, yes, insane. Where have you been for the last 15 years? So, The Office Season 6 premiered on September 17th, 2009. 24 total episodes. That is not including, I guess, technically 2 bonus double episodes, where it's like, well, they're split up into 26 half-hour segments, but it's really 24 episodes.
Right.
7.8 million viewers per episode. Now, this is interesting because this is the first time that The Office had a steep drop-off in terms of the Nielsen ratings. The Season 5 had 9 million viewers per episode, and Season 6 had 7.8. So it was an interesting statistic because a lot of people gave this season good reviews, but most critics acknowledged that something had changed in terms of quality.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to learn because I know one of us here stops watching at about this time.
No, that's not true. I've watched every episode of this and every episode of season 7.
It's a event that happens in season 7 or the end of season 7
Right.
that
I think 7 is a improvement from this one.
That's interesting. Well, I'm excited to talk about that in the Season 7 episode.
Yeah.
So we can't talk about that right now. Sorry. So let's just talk about the arc real quick, the story arc, the big plot points. If I forgot any, please let me know. Michael and Jim, co-managers. Because where would Catholicism be without the 2 popes,
right.
as Oscar says? Jim and Pam's wedding, huge thing that the show had been leading to. Dunder Mifflin being bought by Sabre. Or Sabre.
I'm always going to say
I was
Sabre.
going to say, depending on who you are.
Yeah.
Daryl's promotion. He impresses the new CEO, Joe Bennett. I like you. You're going to start working up here. Daryl gets a promotion. Andy and Aaron and their will they, won't they,
Yeah.
on again, off again thing. Dwight and Angela's baby contract, and that is notable because that is the start of them interacting regularly again.
Yeah.
So
they haven't really.
yeah, I was going to say it's not really a huge plot point, I guess. A run of episodes mentions it, sure, but it's like, hey, they're going to at least start interacting regularly again, which is super important. The printer malfunctions that starts as a prank. Andy and Daryl are starting to, do this investigation together, and then it's really where the season ends. This big, like, oh my gosh, it's real. The public knows about it, and so Michael uses that as, an opportunity to get some FaceTime in front of the cameras or whatever.
Sure.
So, anyway, you guys think I left any off? Any of those that really stand
Pam
out?
and Jim's baby being
yeah.
born.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
PP.
the other 2-part episode.
That's true.
I'd also might put up Michael's relationship with Pam's mom.
Helene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not very long,
Yeah.
but it's a little 3-episode thing,
It is
4-episode
a
arc.
really good little run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in terms of Michael's love life too, it's kind of a plot point, I think.
Also, the last few episodes, he's sleeping with a woman that's married.
Donna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe Michael's love life is a
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of a pretty big
There's
part
a
of
couple
this
references
season.
to Holly throughout,
Yeah.
knowing that Michael still misses her.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah. That's
So-
true.
That's the only thing I thought of.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the interesting thing about I guess the whole romantic arc for Michael in this season is
They're really pushing it. Like there's a lot of episodes that are kind of
yeah.
tilted that way.
Yeah, and I think it's so strange like the Helene one specifically. I guess we can talk about it more when we're going through the episodes, but he just like is looking for companionship,
Yeah.
you know? And it's just like
Right.
so funny because I don't know. We can talk about it more when we get to those episodes. But new characters:
Yeah.
Joe Bennett, Gabe Lewis, both of whom will be there for the remainder of the show. Not necessarily Joe, but she will be
Yeah, I
in
was
there
gonna
for a while.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
was she in like 8 and 9? I don't remember her being in it very much at all.
She's in 8
Okay.
until
Something happened.
something happens.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Helene, Pam's mom, who
Right.
we've already referenced multiple times. So,
Weaker season, I think, debatably the weakest of the Michael seasons, in my opinion.
and that's that. You'd put it behind season 1?
Yes. I think the Saber thing is like to me. There's a lot of episodes in this season that make me sad. Like Michael's in a low point, I think, which narratively speaking isn't a bad thing. It's just not as fun to watch, I
Yeah,
think.
it doesn't have to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's inevitable with any storyline of a romance with Jim and Pam. It's like once they get together, who cares kind of thing. I don't necessarily feel that way about it, but it definitely loses some steam. They're married and they have a kid now. It's like they kind of completed their
Yeah.
Well, I think
story.
it takes on a different context. Like the love story is no longer the shipping, like wanting them to be
Right.
together.
It's an actual relationship.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's the strongest point of this season is Niagara parts 1 and 2 and the delivery parts 1 and 2.
I would agree. I agree. I think
I
those
think-
moments are
I think they
good.
handled those with something that had that much hype in terms of like anticipation for it to happen. I think they wrote them and handled them really, really well. And
I would have one exception in there, but I would generally agree.
their relationship's no longer
It's not a TV
flirty.
show relationship anymore. It's not like the
it's more realistic, I think.
Yeah.
Like there's
which
it's more emotional, it's more
which they deal with even more later on, and I felt
Yeah.
like that stuff was good.
yeah.
I feel like they hadn't gotten to those more interesting places yet with this season.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. I think those events in the Jim and Pam relationship are really good, and there's some really funny moments with them.
Yeah.
But I just think some of the narrative drive of the show was gone because so much of the pushing forward in episodes or the plot line was like, will Jim and Pam get together? Okay, now they're dating. Is it going to work out?
Right.
And and now you're like, yep, like it doesn't feel the series now to me feels meandering. It doesn't know what it wants to do, I don't think. Because like you look down the list of these episodes, they are all over the place. Like there'll be 2 good episodes, 2 that are like not great, then 1 that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the quality is kind of all over the place, and I don't feel like they had a direction to go in a lot of ways, especially with like the character arcs. Like they couldn't bring Holly back in yet.
Yeah.
And I'm just not crazy about the Saber thing. It makes sense within the logic of the show. Like Dunder Mifflin is not a well-run company.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know. It's not my favorite.
Yeah,
but
I think that when you hit that deep of a back-to-back-to-back home run, I just don't think you can try to do something similar. I think
Yeah. You're talking about seasons.
Season 2,
Yeah.
3, and 4. I think those are Grand Slam, another sports reference or whatever. I don't know what it would be.
Hail Mary.
Hail Mary.
that you did catch in the end zone
Right.
in the game.
Just
Yeah.
one-handed. But I think that's like, you can't top that. So I think they did a really good job of writing some weird stuff. Like there's some weird stuff in the season.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily make it good. I just mean, I think it's good for that reason though. And they flexed a little bit of, they had to flex on writing. Like they had to.
I think there was a lot of writer changeover as well
Yeah, I'm
between
sure.
5 and 6.
There were 20 writers this season and 26 episodes. So, yeah, I don't know how many of those were new, but I'm not sure if that was a pretty normal thing to have
I felt like this was
a new writer almost every episode.
Yeah, I felt like this was the time I started seeing a bunch of new names in the credits that I'd never seen before.
I will say a lot of the reviews said that when this season was airing and it was when it was done, they said the season was fun and it had a lot of good moments, but there wasn't ever a lot at stake.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that kind of summarizes what you're feeling. You know,
Yeah,
it's like it
kind
doesn't
of.
really know what it's doing. Jim and Pam are done. The company's fine because they have new owners, and so.
And
But yeah.
the whole printer fire thing is like kind of put in there, I felt like, because they needed something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was built up throughout the whole series. You know, I don't know. It just felt meandering in a lot of ways.
Well, let's go through the episodes. Then.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
I don't have them.
I've got them.
I should have them.
That's
up
okay.
there.
I got them.
Season 7, they'll be right up next to the outline.
You want to do first half, second half,
Sure.
kind of thing? Okay, so there are 26 episodes, so we'll do the first 13, or do you want to do December break?
Let's just do 13.
Let's just do 13.
Okay. So, episode number 1 is Gossip. Number 2 is The Meeting. The Promotion. Niagara Parts 1 and 2. Mafia. The Lover. Koi Pond. Double Date. Murder. Has been another murder. Shareholder Meeting. Scott's Tots. And Secret Santa.
I don't know.
That takes us up to December 10th.
Yeah.
So that's
Perfect.
the mid-season break right there. So, favorites first. I mean, there's a huge standout that everyone talks about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's definitely not everyone's favorite,
Right.
but there's a huge. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from this season.
Can I
is
see
in
the
terms
order,
of,
please? I'm a visual learner.
Sure. Favorites, Wes?
I think The Lover
Yeah.
might be my favorite.
Yep. For those who don't know,
Michael is dating Pam's mom.
Yeah.
And they don't know that
Right.
until they get back from their honeymoon.
Yeah.
Jim finds out before Pam, and
it's hilarious.
you can never tell her.
Yeah.
Ever. It's just a really funny episode that feels like a classic Office episode to me. Like
Yeah.
it feels like an earlier season.
Yeah.
And then just some great Michael, Jim. The scene where he tells Jim is great.
Mm-hmm.
And take a different way home, man.
Yeah.
All the way down.
But yeah, I think that's probably my favorite from the first chunk.
Jake?
Mi-
After visualization.
Mine is probably the promotion or Mafia. I really don't think. I don't know. I don't think that. I really. I don't think that there's like a bad episode in all those that you just read. And that could change mid-season, right? We'd maybe lose steam, but Secret Santa, again, we've talked about this before on almost every single Office episode of the podcast episodes, that holiday episodes I'm just not ever super into.
This is the one where Jim lets Phyllis be Santa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're co-managers, so
Yeah.
we can kind of do some of that
I think
stuff.
that was kind of a fun
Yeah.
twist on it, is Michael's peeved through the whole episode.
Yeah.
And he dresses as Jesus.
Lets Kevin sit on his lap. and
That's
I don't
a
know. No one's
fantastic
ever let
scene.
me do this before. Everyone's breaking
What did you
in the
think
background.
was going to happen?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think that there's, in terms of favorites, I think it would be Mafia or The Promotion. But it's hard because you only get 2 seasons of it. But 6 and 7, there are just so many good Jim and Michael moments
Yeah.
because
They're working together.
yeah, and it's just it's sweet,
Mhm.
you know. So
They're peers.
You see Jim.
Yeah.
You see
For the
Jim
first
learning
time,
some
yeah.
things
yeah,
from Michael. Yeah.
it's really cool. So that's what I really like about The Promotion. But in Mafia, it's just funny. So
Pate?
Pate?
If I can take Niagara parts 1 and 2,
Sure.
you want me to pick apart?
We'll allow it. We'll allow it.
Okay. I'm not going to do that.
Tread
since you
lightly.
will allow it.
Oh,
Tread lightly.
Yeah, I love the wedding episodes. I don't know if that's just because I'm a hopeless romantic or something,
ain't that the truth?
but
Got him.
cool. But I think that it pays off really well, and I think that's why they're so good. Is the payoff is, I think, as equal as it could have been to the relationship of the first 5 seasons of them.
I have a very specific thing that I wish was different in that episode.
Which one? First half or second half?
Second half. I wish during the scene where they're all dancing down the aisle, right?
Yeah.
Not crazy about that bit in general. It's very TV showy to me, but I wish they wouldn't cut to Jim and Pam because their reactions are very like staged TV stuff, and it's very clear
Yeah.
they came back in and shot these reaction shots to things that we're not seeing at the
Yeah.
same time. It feels very disjointed, and I think if they just pulled those reaction shots out,
I know
or
what you're talking about.
just did like 1 or 2
Yeah.
at the end, it would be so much less like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
forced feeling.
Right.
Maybe the super fans will change your mind.
Maybe. Season 2 of the Superfans dropped today.
Not today, but
A few weeks ago.
July 19th.
there we go.
Nice.
But yeah, that's I agree with you. Just that one thing has always bothered me in that scene. It just makes it feel like a TV show.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
The Office is so good at not feeling like a TV show.
It's true. Yeah, I don't know what I think it's just
Them at the Falls is great.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
they're just the little moments done.
The
Cutting the tie and stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
Much.
Much.
Zach, if you're listening, we just muched. So yeah.
But Jim goes full. He's just so part of the fun of watching Jim and Pam is how much Jim's planned things out, or how much he's like thought about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Teapot letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
hot
that's
sauce packet.
I think that's some of the best parts of their relationship. Not that it's all
He's
coming
very
from Jim.
sincere.
I just mean he's the one that the show tells you, like, he's the one that wants to be with Pam,
Mm-hmm.
and he shows that multiple times. he's pursuing her most of the time.
Hmm.
And you get to see the complete fruition of that in his plan for the wedding.
Yeah.
That being the falls,
Right.
as, I don't know, it's just a really good bow on the love story,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And then you get a bunch of great office characters out of the office stuff of
Yeah.
them in a hotel
Oh, yeah.
and them partying and
Yeah.
Andy tearing his scrotum.
Still recording, baby.
Least favorites of that run? Is that what we're on?
Yeah.
You want to go first this
I
time?
need to see him again.
It's Scott's Tots. for
I don't
me.
want to pick it just because it's...
It's so
I actually
painful.
don't think it's my least favorite, though. I think Koi Pond is my least favorite of that run.
I will say the other thing about Niagara Part 1 real quick, because
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
reminded me, is that you have another Jim and Michael thing where he's like, is it something about being a manager that makes you say stupid stuff? And Michael's like, I have not found that to be the case. And that's a really sweet moment for them together, too. Anyway, your least favorite episode is probably Koi Pond because...
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me.
No, I was just picking us back up.
You
where
had
we
me
left
locked
off.
in, dude. I thought you had all the answers.
This is where we left off. Koi Pond is your least
Where do we
favorite
come
because
from? Why are we here?
That is the question that we're
You
all
had
trying
me,
to
dude.
ask.
The question.
You
The
had
The
me for
question
real.
about to ask.
I would pick Koi Pond just because, kind of what Wes was saying, it makes me a little bit sad. Like, I don't think it's very funny. Like, I think it's mostly just,
Jim kind of screwed over Michael.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they would have resolved it quicker than that.
Yeah.
Quicker than a full episode. I think it would have been, I don't know.
I think
It's just not my favorite.
I think Michael has, at this point, garnered enough respect from Jim. Like I think Jim has learned enough about Michael to know he's not a complete and total loser.
Yeah.
That he would have been.
And I think part of
Straightforward with
the motivation was supposed to be that he was angry a little bit at Michael for dating Pam's mom, right?
Partially, and then also not taking him seriously as the co-manager, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
it was they asked for Michael to come with Jim to the
Oh,
call,
right. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and Jim's like,
I can do it.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's
So he
probably
didn't.
what
He
it
felt like Michael was babysitting him still,
Yeah.
which now that he's co-manager, so it could be a lot of what you guys
Yeah.
are saying as
Mm-hmm.
well. But yeah, that's on screen. That's really what we get is
I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad episode. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just not my thing. I don't know.
One of my favorite Michael Jim exchanges is when Oscar walks by Jim in the kitchen. He goes, "Oh, sorry, Jim," and then he walks out, and then Michael goes,
Oh, yeah.
Oscar's a douche. It's just like, I love it. It's so funny. But yeah.
No, he's a good guy. What does he say?
Yeah.
It's easily Scott's
Scott's
Tots
Tots.
for me. Just it's so. I mean,
Is it
people have
because it's overblown, or is it because you don't like it?
both.
Interesting.
I think it's really uncomfortable.
It's the awkward pinnacle of the show.
It's the most uncomfortable without being funny to me. Like, it's just painful. And the concept is funny, but it immediately goes to he's ruining some people's lives here.
You're just waiting for them to get angry.
Yeah,
Like, you just,
because you know it's going to happen,
Yeah.
and he's got no excuse whatsoever. People have talked obviously at length about Scott's Tots as possibly being the worst episode of The Office. I don't know about that.
Have they
But
seen Hot Girl? The episode, not
Yeah.
just like in general. Have you seen
have
a
they
Hot
seen
Girl?
a hot girl? Worst episode.
but yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's the worst episode of The Office, but I have never watched it a second time. I can't. I've started and then just like, nope, can't do it. It's so I get so secondhand like uncomfortable from it.
Yeah. I think that's a very common feeling
Yeah.
amongst Office fans.
So it's a boring pick for least favorite, but
It needs to be mentioned.
You got to be true to yourself, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Even
would-
if that means picking what everyone else is going to pick, you got
Yeah.
to be true to yourself.
Mafia is also one of my least favorites, just because Jim and Pam aren't really in it, but not because it's not
Right.
funny. But I do like the bit in that one where Kevin accidentally cancels Jim's
It's
credit
really
card.
good.
Yeah.
I think that we should let the criminal use it. Very funny, Mr. Halpern. Mine's Secret Santa, for sure.
Why?
It's when the
It's for sure this, but I don't know.
when the plot is just a party.
Yeah,
That's just so
especially when it's been done really well once already.
yeah, you know, and so it's like
If that episode was in like season 3 or 4,
yeah,
I think it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Great.
because really the only new thing is that Jim has some say in the party now, I
Mhm.
suppose, which does cause some funny moments, but it's just there's
I wonder
when there's
how much-
nothing else happening,
Yeah.
you know. It's
I
like-
wonder how much of that is NBC in the studio pushing them to do
yeah,
holiday episodes.
every year, yeah,
Could
You're
be.
just refined to confined, sorry,
yeah.
in a box, you know, for there's only
Um,
so many things that you can write that are interesting.
But
like
yeah,
that.
that's I don't really have anything else to say
Yeah.
about Secret
Okay.
Santa. There's nothing. No, there's funny
Just-
moments for sure, obviously,
just
but it's
that
like
scene where Kevin sits on his lap is amazing.
yeah,
If only for the bloopers.
All right, the
Second
second
half.
half. Starting in January,
Zach.
January 21st,
John
With-
January?
The Banker. Sabre. Obviously. Saber. The Manager and the Salesman. The Delivery Part 1 and 2. St. Patrick's Day. New Leads. Happy Hour. Secretary's Day. Body Language. The Cover Up. The Chump. And Whistleblower. Favorites, Jakey? Wes, do you have a favorite that pops out right there?
I mean, probably the delivery.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of the stuff in the office with Pam not wanting to go into labor
Oof.
is really funny.
It is grade A. Yep.
Yeah, that's a real weak run to me of episodes. The delivery's probably it.
Yeah,
for me.
I'd probably pick Delivery 1 and 2
Mhm.
as well. I don't know if I can pick. I just feel like they're the same episode almost.
It's
you know.
it's one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a jumbo episode.
yeah,
But yeah, I agree. I think the again, kind of the reason that I think the strongest part of this season is Jim and Pam, I think, and those 4 episodes, the wedding and the delivery, are I think the strongest it is, comedy and drama wise.
Yeah. Jacob?
yes. I would say probably. I think it's Happy Hour. Probably.
Date Mike?
Yeah, you don't get Date Mike if you don't have Happy Hour.
Yeah,
So, that's where he meets Donna, which that's a really funny.
You work in
Run.
an adult arcade.
Yeah, that's a really funny run of, you know, he's like, he tells her about his book, you know, which I love when they sprinkle in things that from characters past that don't require a joke now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not funny that he tells her about the book, but it's like, oh yeah, that is funny that he still thinks he's going to write that. Stuff
Mhm.
like that, you know.
Yeah.
So, makes the whole show feel more congruent. So yeah, I would probably pick Happy Hour.
Nice. Least favorites?
I mean, obviously, I'll pick it first because it has to be. It's The Banker.
I would hesitate to say that even counts. It's a recap. It's a highlight episode. Most shows have
still,
them.
It would still count.
It's
I
an
think.
episode.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's why I'm picking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly not
It's not really an episode, though. Like, there's no plot in the episode besides the banker just hearing all of these stories.
And deciding if they're worth buying.
I don't know that a flashback episode has ever worked. I've never seen a flashback episode in a show that works.
I don't understand, at this point in television history, why The Office still did it. Like, that is such an outdated television show thing to do.
Didn't Friends do a flashback
I'm sure
at
they
the
did.
end of the show?
I don't know
thing?
about that. It's not that it's a flashback episode. It's literally a highlight episode of, like, the best of.
Yeah.
It's like a best of episode. And that's something that shows stopped doing. Like, I think I could be wrong on this in terms of, like, my television history knowledge. I think they stopped doing it before this. Like,
Widely.
for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, Parks and Rec never had one. Brooklyn Nine-Nine hasn't had one. Like,
Parks and Rec did it the correct way, which is it's a flash forward episode essentially.
Yeah.
Is the finale. It's like
sure.
it's completely different. I'm just saying the format is kind of the same.
Right.
You can change the format of like changing, the mockumentary style to, because it completely loses that. It's not a mockumentary anymore. You know, it's like something different.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird, outdated thing to have in a show airing in 2010 at this point. Like, and it doesn't fit within the style of The Office
Absolutely
either.
not.
Yeah. If
so-
they were like reviewing, like, hey, I found this really old funny tape that was like, that would be the only.
Or if like the
But
show,
if
the
a
show,
show like
within the
Community-
show started airing.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
A show like Community would work with that.
Community did an episode parodying this style of show.
Yeah.
Where
The
they
flashbacks were things that had never been shown
happened
on
in
this
the
show.
episodes.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
how
and really
smart
funny.
that show is, yeah.
It's possibly my favorite episode of Community.
Yeah, it's great.
And that should point to Community was doing that at the same time The Office was sincerely doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And you just don't know how much of that is it's the wrong decision, but like how much is that the again the
it's
studio
absolutely
pressuring
NBC.
them to do something.
I think that's absolutely NBC not understanding. I mean, they canceled Community. Like, they weren't understanding where television was going.
Yeah.
You know?
And Community's probably it's got to be in their top 5 of archived shows of people
Possibly, that have
people
come
watching
to it
it
afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason people are
It's-
still pushing for a movie to happen for Community.
It's the Arrested Development of
NBC.
NBC.
Yeah, for sure. If it's not The Banker, which I would still almost argue it's basically not an episode, it would be Secretary's Day for me. Because when I was rewatching them a while ago and then reading through them today, between that time, I forgot the episode existed. And that should tell you something.
I've always thought
About
that
the
about
episode.
St. Patrick's Day too.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Same reasons that you don't really like Secret Santa. It's just like I don't. Nothing really happens that great in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of just goes by.
This last half of the season is just a real weak section of episodes, I think. The first half is pretty good, I think.
Also have to remember we're comparing it to itself. We're comparing
Yeah.
The Office to the bar it's already set.
Yeah.
This compared to a lot of other television is by far better.
Sure.
Except The Banker.
Except The Banker. So it may sound like we're being harsh, but we're also comparing it to the first 5 seasons, which we've nothing but praised pretty much.
Yeah.
So
It was the point in time where I noticed the show really going downhill. I was like, I might consider wrapping this one up soon. But then you get into season 7, there's good stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then I'll have to watch all of season 8 and 9. I've seen a lot of it, but
I think every show has to have low points, otherwise the high points aren't high points.
sure.
They're just
I mean, not every episode can be gold
Yeah.
in every single episode.
Yeah.
You know, Community, which is a great show, has low points. Arrested Development has low points.
Yeah.
But yeah.
where does this season rank overall?
I think it kind of spoiled my answer to that earlier.
Through the
on.
first 6.
It's,
Yes.
it's my least favorite. I think of the run so far.
Yeah, I think season 5 is better.
Mhm.
So I would also put it last. Let me rephrase. It's so hard for me to. There's so much more content in this than season 1.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to not put season 1 last. I don't always want to, but it seems like if I had to lose one, I'd lose season 1. You know.
I guess that's true.
That's yeah, it's not last for me. It's probably 5th or 4th. Yeah. In the ranking. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some really, really good stuff in season 1, especially upon rewatching it.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff I really love in season 1.
Yeah. It is kind of in its pure form still. Like
Mhm.
it's still really dry.
Yeah.
It gets moist as it goes.
It's true.
It
Yikes.
does. All
It's
right.
true.
Okay, let's
No, I completely
talk
agree.
about the word moist. Okay. Let's derail this.
No, we'll have our own episode about the word moist. Peyton will just be in here by himself. Like,
Yeah.
And it'll be like an Alex Jones conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Guys, listen.
The
we're gonna-
conspiracy theory is this: no one actually is bothered by that word, but they've thought it's cool to be bothered by it, so now they're bothered by it.
Like and subscribe.
Signing out. This is the Moist
Anyway,
Boys.
it becomes more dense. It becomes more colorful as the show goes on.
Yeah.
It's still in its like infancy, dry, almost British
Yeah.
thing in season
gets
1.
sillier.
So that's got its own merit.
Yeah.
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 Well, cool. Well, we are going to talk about season 7 in about a month. So look forward to that.
So
If-
watch along with us.
Yes, watch along with us, and
Michael's final season.
maybe we'll see
Guess we won't know.
until you watch it. This podcast is not for you. My name is Jake.
My name is Wes.
My name's Peyton. Bye.
Moist Boys out.
Boys, boys.
That's my boys.